A small commuter plane that crashed in western Alaska on its way to the hub community of Nome was located Friday on sea ice, and all 10 people on board died, authorities said. According to Associated Press, the crash appeared to be one of the deadliest in the state in the last 25 years. Mike Salerno, a spokesperson for the U.S. Coast Guard, said rescuers were searching the aircraft's last known location by helicopter when the wreckage was spotted. 2 rescue swimmers were lowered to investigate. A photo provided by the Coast Guard showed the plane's splintered body and debris lying on the sea ice. 2 people in brightly colored emergency gear circled the wreckage. Nome Mayor John Handeland choked up as he discussed the deaths and the response effort. On behalf of my fellow Nomites, I extend our collective condolences and support to the families and loved ones of the passengers and pilot and others in our big Alaska family that are also impacted by this tragic occurrence, Handeland said. Clint Johnson, the chief of the National Transportation and Safety Board's regional office in Alaska, said that an investigator would gather perishable evidence at the crash site and start an investigation. The Bering Air single-engine turboprop plane was traveling from Unalakleet on Thursday afternoon with 9 passengers and a pilot, Alaska's Department of Public Safety said. It was operating at its maximum passenger capacity, according to the airline's description of the plane. The Cessna Caravan left Unalakleet at 2:37 p.m., and officials lost contact with it less than an hour later, according to David Olson, Director of Operations for Bering Air. There was light snow and fog, with a temperature of 17 degrees, -8.3 Celsius, according to the National Weather Service. The Coast Guard said the aircraft went missing about 30 miles southeast of Nome.
The narrative for today's press conference has changed a bit, as earlier this afternoon, the U.S. Coast Guard discovered wreckage of an aircraft matching the description of the overdue Bering Air Flight 445 traveling from Unalakleet to Nome. Sadly, there does not appear to be any survivors. On behalf of my fellow Nomites, I extend our collective condolences and support to the families and loved ones of the passengers and pilot, and others in our big Alaska family are also impacted by this tragic occurrence.
The Coast Guard did locate the aircraft on the ice about 34 miles southeast of Nome. It was a Coast Guard MH-60 Jayhawk helicopter and an air crew. When the air crew located the wreckage, they lowered 2 rescue swimmers to investigate the scene. Those rescue swimmers are out on the ice. They were able to see inside the aircraft, and they saw 3 individuals who were unresponsive, without any signs of life. The remaining 7 people are believed to be on board, but due to the extent of the damage, the rest of the aircraft was inaccessible. But all 7 people are believed to be inside that wreckage, and unfortunately, of course, it does not appear to be a survivable crash.
Presently, right now, we understand that Stacia Joyce, the NTSB investigator that we launched up there early this morning, is on scene with the Coast Guard. Her intent is to document the site to the best of her ability. Some pretty rough conditions, obviously, but what she's going to be doing is documenting that perishable evidence and start the investigation.
A small aircraft crashed on an avenue in Sao Paulo on Friday morning shortly after taking off from a nearby private airport, killing at least 2 of its passengers, the local firefighter corps said in a statement. According to Associated Press, the plane went down in the busy Barra Funda neighborhood on the city's west side, near its downtown. A piece of the plane hit a bus, injuring 1 woman inside, while a motorcyclist was struck by another piece of wreckage, the firefighter's statement said. Both were receiving medical care. A later statement said that 4 additional victims at the site were taken to hospitals in the area with minor injuries. Officials had no immediate information on the identities of the two fatalities. There was no word as to what had caused the plane to lose altitude and smash into the avenue less than 3 miles, 5 kilometers, from the private airport from which it had departed. It was bound to Porto Alegre, in the southern Rio Grande do Sul state. Russian spy ship, the Kildin, as the vessel packed with intelligence-gathering equipment drifted temporarily out of control off the Syrian coast on January 23, with flames and black fumes rising from its smokestack. The Associated Press obtained audio of the broadcast, as well as video and photos showing the blaze, that 3 military officials said were gathered by a ship from a NATO nation operating nearby. The officials, also from a NATO country, spoke to the AP on condition of anonymity to discuss the fire and radio transmission that Russian authorities haven't publicly reported. The audio provides an unusual peek inside Russia's fleet of spy ships that NATO nations are watching closely because of concerns that Moscow might sabotage underwater cables and pipelines amid tensions over the war in Ukraine. Even though the Kildin was in trouble, the secretive ship didn't respond to an offer of help from the NATO vessel, the official said. The 55-year-old Kildin gathers intelligence on NATO activities in the Mediterranean and had been operating near naval exercises by alliance member Turkey before the fire, according to the officials who spoke to the AP. They said the blaze burned for at least 4 hours and that the Kildin's crew removed the covers from lifeboats, though they never put them to sea. The Kildin also hoisted 2 black balls from its masts, a maritime signal that the ship can no longer steer, the officials said. They said the crew eventually regained control and that the Kildin is still stationed and gathering intelligence off the Syrian port of Tartus, accompanied by a frigate and a supply vessel. It is not clear what caused the blaze. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said he wasn't aware of a fire aboard the Kildin and didn't say what the ship was doing at the time. He dismissed suggestions that it reflected poorly on Russian naval readiness. Assessing the state of the fleet based on the breakdown of one particular ship or one particular malfunction is not professional, Peskov said.
At the port of
Retired
Tartus on
Vice
January
Admiral
the
Michel
22nd, after
a
weeks
former
of
head
idle
of France's
wandering
Center
off
for
the
Higher
Syrian
Military
coast,
Studies,
the heavy weapons,
said that
military
even though the
vehicles,
Kildin
artillery
regained
and
steering,
ammunition
the
crates
fire
guarded by
highlights the
soldiers
logistical
had been waiting for
difficulties for
weeks
Russia
at
of
Port
maintaining
Tartus
naval
to be
forces in
loaded
the
onto ships.
Mediterranean, far
The
from
day
its
the
bases
ships
in the
docked,
Arctic and the
Syria's
Baltic
new
Sea.
government terminated
Moscow
the
also is
49-year
no
lease.
longer able to use its Black Sea Fleet for Mediterranean patrols because during the Ukraine war Turkey isn't allowing warships to pass through the Bosporus, which links the Black and Mediterranean seas.